Good, thank you for the introduction. As Tal said, I'm going to talk about visualizing geodemographics. And I'll come to why I want to do that and why visualization is a good way to look at geodemographics in a minute. But first of all, just briefly, geodemographics is a way of taking some complex characteristics of population and coming up with some statistical groupings that help discriminate these groups. So here I'm showing oak, which is the output area classification. The top level super groups, there's 7 of those, and that's a map of areas in which the population follow these particular profiles. And if you're looking at the whole country at once, obviously it's all green because much of the area of the country is non-urban. If we instead size areas by the population, then the colour on the screen more closely represents the proportion of population who live in areas classified in these ways. And within each category, especially with these top level 7 categories, there's a lot of variation in population. Not all countryside people living in those areas are similar. And what I want to do is use visualization to help understand the differences that happen within categories. So the first thing I do, maybe ill-advised, is to change the colours, and I'm going to turn the lights off, if that's okay. Thank you. So on the left, I've used colours here which have the same lightness. And the reason I do that is because I want to use lightness to show how similar an area is to the typical profile of that group. So on the right, same colours, but lightness reflects how typical the area is. And so obviously the southeast dominates in terms of population, and there are certain groups, like it's multicultural, where it's dark. It shows that the areas, the people are quite typical of that group, whereas in some of the other groups, the populations are less typical of the group. And if we start zooming in and having a look at more of the detail, this is the London area, which, as many of us know, is dominated by multicultural and city living. We can use graphics to help us explore how these areas change. So I've got a mouse cursor on this dark area here in Islington. This is very dark, and if you look at the bar chart on the top right, the multicultural bar dominates the other ones, but there are similarities in terms of statistical closeness to other profiles with other categories. If we mouse over a lighter area, like here, you see that the population in those areas is not particularly close to any of them, but multicultural is the top one, and that's the category given. And this is important, I think, for people working with geodemographics, because if you're using a scheme, it's useful to know how representative the groups that people are using are to the population that the work that they're doing. Sorry, let me just get bearings right. Okay, on the left, I've got all the 42, I think, variables that Oak uses to produce these classes, and the darker profile there shows the profile of that particular output area. The grey one shows the national median, so we can compare areas with the national median of the population. And if we select just those areas in the central London area and kind of store it. This is an interactive application. I'll just show you screenshots of it. And then we show the profile of the multicultural on the right. So we've got the grey, which you can't really see, but that's the profile of the variation of the London population in total. The pink shows that of just the multicultural population. It's quite similar, but then if you wanted to compare that with another area, we could go to somewhere like Birmingham, which also has a lot of this multicultural group inside, and we can actually plot the difference from the London multicultural population. So we can look at populations of larger regions as well as just output areas, and look at how they differ across the country. And it's also interesting to look at some other areas like Durham here, where central Durham is very, very atypical of the groups that it's classified as. So in conclusion, geodemographics gives you very convenient population groupings of population, but there's a large variation within those, and visual analytics can help us unpick these and find out what's actually going inside. This is only really possible with Oak because Oak is an open geodemographic classifier. We can't do this with some of the closed commercial ones. And we did some work with a local authority who used geodemographics, and we've written up the experiences that they found in this paper, which you're welcome to download or ask me about afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aidan.